Hey world, I've been called to come and talk to anyone who's needing to hear this right now. I've just had a huge shift occur after many years of some trauma playing itself out in my life. So this video is me stepping forward to be seen and heard, but it's also for anybody who has experienced trauma. And most of us have, men, women, we've all had something happen in our lives that's had a lasting effect on us, right? My voice is a bit shaky and I'm a tiny little bit nervous, but I think I'm doing this for the right reasons. I did weigh up whether it was a good idea because this is going to get very personal. But I know from talking to other people that at the present time in the world, it's pretty powerful to be vulnerable because of the fact that it helps so many people who are also going through something. So I'm just hoping that if there's one person out there that can benefit from my story, then, you know, it's worth it. Usually my videos aren't personal. So this is a bit of a different avenue for me. So I have lived my adult life riddled with anxiety, not knowing why, and I've made lots of poor choices. Hey, Nick. We hate being called Nick. Hello, my darling Nicole cousin. So I've realised tonight where it's all stemmed from, and I'm hoping that this will help people in relation to trauma. This is inner child stuff, so we've got a bit of a psychological approach going on here as well as a spiritual one, because anybody who knows me knows that I am intrinsically connected to my spirituality. So I'll start from the beginning. I'm just going to tell my story, tell how it's played out in my adult life, and if you get something from it, great. Hey, Linda. Long time no see. Okay, so when I was a child, I had a beautiful childhood, right? Kind of rare. So I had a stability. I was a very high achieving kid. So when I was 12, in 1 year, I was the school captain, the Ducks, the maths champion, the athletics champion, and I was doing my piano exams. Like, you couldn't stop me. I now know in later life I have ADHD, so that kind of explains the overachieving as well. I could just kind of do everything really quickly, but, you know, blessing and a curse. And yeah, that year, that's where I peaked. I peaked at 12, but I'll have another peak in the years soon to come, I think, because this is so much has just made sense to me tonight. And it's all thanks to a good chat with a woman who's 58 who just helped me to unpack everything. It was an accident, one I'm very, very grateful for. This is going to change the path of my life. And I hope that whoever's watching that's had trauma in their life can understand that if your life's been a shit show like mine has, there's hope, okay? There is hope. So here's what happened. My heart's beating really fast, because this is going to be difficult to divulge, but I'm going to go into it because I hope it might help someone. When I was in year 8, by the time I got to year 8, I was well respected by my peers. I had been the high achiever in my family. Hey, Shan. So I had the accolades. I had the respect of everyone, teachers, friends, family, friends, whoever's path I crossed, I usually, you know, had a good impact on. And so I guess I had a bit of a pedestal thing going on, maybe. Anyway, year 8, I started dating a guy. I went to a Catholic high school. For those of you out there that went to Kakamaka, you may remember this story. And I started dating a guy who had been brought over from South High. He'd been expelled from South High. Hi, Nellie. He had been expelled from South High for drug possession, and he'd come to Catherine McCauley. Now, up until that point, I had had no dramas in my life, basically. Just the usual stuff. Just for anyone who's jumping on now, because there's way more people jumping on than I thought, this is a video, a very raw and real video about trauma, and it's just in the hope that this helps people. It's something I could have kept to myself, but Chrissy, you've been there from the beginning. You know all of this journey. So I can't even remember what I just said, but this is about trauma. So, okay, I will just get into it. I was in year 8. I'd started dating this, as Chrissy put it, douchebag. He was a fucking douche. Sorry, there's going to be some very real talk tonight. And I was afraid of him. Actually, Chrissy is the one who reminded me semi-recently that we went to a disco and he'd written me a letter about wanting to have sex with me or something. I was 13, I think, 13 or 14. And I was shit scared of him by this point. And I apparently wore 6 or 7 pairs of undies to this disco. I don't even remember that. You know, my best friend Chrissy remembers that. I don't. So after that, you know, by this time I was this guy was bad news, right? But I wasn't equipped with assertion or boundaries. I was just scared and just going with it because I didn't know what else to do. 4 pairs of undies. Thank you for clarifying that. So yeah, I walked into a maths class. My favorite teacher was teaching it. And up until this point, I still had the respect of everybody, right? I had a good rap sheet. I got into the class early because I knew he was going to be in that class, and I sat down next to my friend Tamara. So Tamara Clark, if you're watching this, I saw you as a savior that morning. I gunned for you. I was like, Tamara's in here. I'm going to sit next to her. I got into class, sat next to Tam, and then he came into class and sat next to the window, and he said, he said over to me, come and sit with me. And I just did as I was told. Hey, Kaz. And so, I've got the shakes. And so anyway, not long afterwards, class started, the teacher's talking to everybody. This guy, Luke Connor, he put his hands down my pants and I was instantly in shock. And he said to me, oh, don't you have a spare hand for me as well? So out of fear, I put my hand down his pants and it was in between his boxers and his undies. That always seemed to be a relevant piece of this story for me. Thank you, Shan. And so I did that. And as that happened, the teacher caught it in his eye, right? So he looked, and I remember him looking and then just doing a double take and like in complete disbelief. Hey, Lummy. And he just looked at me and he said, because he's my favorite teacher, he was just like, he just looked at Luke and he goes, you out. And he was sent straight to the principal's office. He looked at me and he just had this sadness in his eyes and he's like, Jess, I can't let this go. Thanks. Thank you, Seagull. Love you. And he said, Jess, I can't let this go. You have to go outside too. So here I am standing outside the classroom. And then as it followed on, he was immediately expelled. I was sent to like a holding cell, a holding room in the year where the year coordinators was, which is where I remember Chrissy ran past the door going, Jessie's in trouble, Jessie's in trouble, Jessie's getting suspended or something. I didn't know I was getting suspended at that point. I didn't know what was going on. Anyway, so they had to get my mum to come down from, she had a stargazing night at her teaching school with the kids. They were watching the stars. She got called out of that to come down to the office. So I was in the office, in the principal's office with the principal, the vice principal, and my mum. Dad was away on work. This is so hard to say because it's so raw, but I'm hoping this is for the right reasons. This isn't just for me. This is for anyone out there who's experienced sexual abuse, who's experienced trauma, who's never been heard, who's been accused of something that they didn't do. This is for everyone. that needs this. I'm hoping it lands with someone. Anyway, so, you know, I was suspended for only for 2 days, I think, or 4 days or something. Got back home, was vilified by my mum immediately. She sort of snapped her pants and said, is this what it sounded like when he took his hands out, or you had to take your hands out or something? And I'm only saying this because it wasn't her fault either. She was reacting the only way she knew how. You know, my mum, I'm sure, has trauma from her past, and this was just all too much for her. And she did the best with what she had. She was angry, you know. So my dad was away. He came back from work a couple of days later, and he just held me on his lap like a baby. He's a very soft man, and he just cried. He was like, I remember him looking at me like I was a little baby. He's like, what happened? What happened to you? Shan, my fingers are shaking. Yeah, this is weird. I was like, I don't know if I should do this because this is so raw, but it just, something's telling me I need to say this for whoever else is out there watching. It's a Friday night. Why aren't you all out getting pissed? Like, you know, like there's so many people online right now. I thought nobody would be here. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This has to be for the right reasons. Thank you, Chrissy. I will breathe. Good advice. Okay. So, hey, Stace. All right. So then, yeah, Dad had come home. So from that moment forward, by the time I got back to school the next week, I was in year 8. Thanks, Court. You're all so wonderful. Shekinah, hey, babe. So yeah, I got back to school, and you know, the life I'd had up until then was tops, you know. It was so good. And from that moment forward, my reputation was shot. The teachers, my parents, my family, my extended family, my friends. I was a slut in everyone's eyes. I'd let everyone down. I'd gone from, like, yeah, there was a pedestal thing there from within that I didn't realize for sure, you know. Nobody hated me really, like maybe one or two, but I was pretty happy. And I went from that to just being crucified. I had nothing left. I ended up leaving that school a year later because I just didn't fit anywhere there anymore. So from that point forward, there was a trail of destruction and has been ever since. From that moment when I was 14 years old to now I'm 37. Now that I understand that that's where this came from, just tonight I've had this epiphany. I've just realized that everything that plays out in my life, like, Hamish, if you see this, darling, I know you're not one to like put, you know, everything out there. You're far more reserved than I am. I hope you understand that I'm telling this story in the hope that it helps other people. You are wonderful and I love you. And I hope this helps you to understand the shit show that you've been presented with too. So, in my life, I have been in a string of toxic relationships. Thanks, Benny. Yeah, I hope this doesn't just set me free. I hope this sets everybody free. This is truth, right? This is authenticity. I'm showing up. Hey, Irene, I'm showing up because I know there are other people out there that need to hear this. You know, vulnerability, there's so much power in it. So, yeah, I chose a bunch of duds. Not duds, just people on their own journey too. And, you know, matching up on our own frequencies. We were both on the same frequency at the time. They had their own pain. It's all pain finds pain, right? Hurt people. And I understand that now because I've, you know, eventually become somebody that has hurt other people too. So to get some clarity on this, I do need to go back. But for this to make sense, I need to explain how it's played out in my life now. So for somebody who's 37 you'd think that petty jealousy would be something that you'd be well past. Not me. That has been my Achilles heel for a long time. And I didn't understand it because anyone who knew me growing up knew how self-assured I was. I can remember a friend of mine saying, you know, what happened to you? You were always so self-assured. And I lost a lot of friends once I sort of hit that weak point within myself, because I wasn't able to be that backbone for everybody anymore. I was just on shaky ground from 14 and onwards. I had a very strong blueprint to start with, thankfully, because that has got me through a whole bunch of uncertainty. But since I was 14, which was 2008, I've just had this, like, it felt like a hairline fracture, you know. One psychologist I came across, she's like, you're like a china cup and you've just got this hairline fracture that people can't really see, but it's holding you. It's got a hold over you. So if you feel like that, remember, I'm doing this for you too. So if you feel like there's this, something's broken inside you, or something like, you know, I'm shaken, that you are unheard, or you've been vilified for something that really wasn't your fault, but you've believed the self-criticism, right? Like, we hear the voices of other people in our head saying you're a piece of shit, or whatever it is. It's different horses for different courses, but we all, you know, blame. We all self-blame. And yeah, I think that's something that a lot of us haven't understood about ourselves. You know, we're carrying trauma from a long, long time ago that we haven't even figured out. So this incident that happened with me in year 8, I minimized it. I guess I thought to myself, well, I wasn't raped, right? So it can't be that bad. And I let everybody down. So, you know, what am I here to complain about? I was sexually abused. Like, that was coercive abuse. You know, I was manipulated to do something of a sexual nature that I didn't consent to, that I didn't approve of. Like, I was a participant in the sense that I did what I was told, but I wasn't consenting to it. I was scared. And I know there's people out there watching this now that have definitely had some level of abuse at some point in their life in that arena. Some far worse, some of less effect, but that kind of shit sticks. That kind of abuse and that kind of trauma stays with you for a long time, mainly because we don't have the tools, we don't have the education for ourselves to heal it, to understand it, let alone heal it. So I'll keep going. Boyfriend after boyfriend after boyfriend, I'm playing out the same pattern. Toxic relationships, toxic from them, toxic from me, because I didn't have the self-worth that I needed to see clearly when something wasn't in my highest good, right? Something wasn't in my best interests. I thought I needed to be punished on some level. You know, I didn't believe in myself at that point. I literally let everybody in my family and everybody in my life down. I was like, you know, not good in the eyes around me. Nobody saw that I was a victim in that scenario. I was the slut. Like, you know, I did the wrong thing. I fucked up, and it explains the pattern of self-destruction that has followed. So for any of you out there with addiction issues, with, yes, Chrissy, we did, with you know, any kind of self-destruction, any kind of choices that you make for yourself that are escapism or addiction, that's all trauma. That is all stuff we haven't unpacked from earlier on. For some people, it goes back to when you were a toddler. For some of us, you know, it happens when you're a child, when you're a teen, or when you're an adult. It can happen then too. But for me at 37, to realize, well, to be banging my head up against a wall for so long now, going, why the fuck am I jealous over tiny things? I have a man who loves me. I am a wonderful person. I'm a good egg, you know, like I've been through some shit, but underneath it all, I'm worthy of this love. And thank goodness, a little part of me hung on to that. Thank goodness something. The girl that was 14 and under knew that. I knew my worth. I did get to experience that as a young child. So at least I had that to refer to know what it feels like. And so knowing that, you know, deep down, good egg, it's okay. Like, you're a good person. You are not horrible. You're not a slut. You're not, you know, you're not weak. You're not insecure for no reason. Because I've been battling this insecurity and I'm like, why the fuck am I so insecure? Why? I've done inner work. You know, I'm on a spiritual path. I help other people. Why am I battling this? Why is this beating me? What is this? And tonight, understanding the root of where this came from has been an epiphany and a half. And I hope, for my relationship's sake, that this light bulb moment now filters out and permeates through the air around me to everyone around me, because it feels like a big change. It feels like you're gonna make me cry, you lot. Shush, stop being so nice. Yeah, this must be happening for a reason. So I'm glad I'm sharing it. So anyway, right. I understand now that the reason why I struggle with jealousy, that's my affliction, right? Everybody's got their own stuff. If it's trauma related, it's going to manifest in some way, shape or form. It could be anything. It could manifest in any way. Anger, resentment, distance. If you like to distance yourself from people and you keep everybody at an arm's length and don't let anyone get too close. Intimacy issues. I've had intimacy issues for years. You know, my sex life has been not great, you know, but I understand. It's also been great. Now I feel like I'm oversharing. Hamish, you're wonderful. I'm not lacking anything there. But, you know, in the past, I can see where this trauma has played out. And it really does permeate through every aspect of my life. The vilification that you feel from people around you who don't understand that you acting out in certain ways. If you've had an affair, if you've been cheated on, but even if you're somebody who's had an affair, now there are assholes out there that will just cheat because they don't give a fuck about themselves enough to care about hurting someone else. That's a different story. And underneath it all, that's all self-worth too. So, you know, but it's not great. But if you've cheated on somebody else because you just felt so misunderstood, hurt, any of those, like, you know, just that you didn't have anywhere to turn. And so you found solace in someone else in that way. What did you say, Kat? I love you, but you bring on to you much. I don't care if it feels like it's too much, because this needs to be told. This isn't just my story, Kaz. You know, this is other people's stuff too. And someone's got to say it, you know, someone's got to own this shit and go, all right, let's talk about this. This is taboo stuff, you know, this isn't stuff that you just go out in public and say, hey, guess what? Here's all of my shit. Let's go through it, shall we? Because yeah, that's giving a lot of my energy away, and that's putting myself out for defamation. You know, people are going to judge me. I don't care. I really don't care, because I know this is going to help other people. So, you know, if I have to be the one that takes the hit, then fine. That's okay. I'm fine with that. Yeah, so I now understand why I have trust issues and why they've played out the way they have. I have been stuck, this 13-year-old version of me, and this is where inner child work comes in, and reparenting yourself is useful work. that at 13, every single person I knew thought that I was a slut, that I'd done the wrong thing. You know, nobody thought to say, hang on a second, what's going on there? This something's not right here, you know. And that's okay, because that's my journey, and that's why I'm sitting here today telling this story. You know, this is all relevant. But yeah, rejection's a big one. That's abandonment. That's all sorts of stuff. It's so interesting how many Catherine McCauley crew are here. Oh my gosh, all the blasts from the past that were there when this happened. Matt Johnson, hello. Carla, hello. Oh, Maddie Johnson, I've missed you, mate. Like, I remember just vibing with you in high school. You're a funny bastard. I miss your humor. After all these years, I remember. Yeah, that's right. I was still a kid. And I guess just, yeah, like, didn't know which way to turn. Chrissy can be testament to that. Everyone fucking hated me. Like, I was just this reject, basically. So, you know, that 13-year-old girl of me was betrayed in the sense that my caregivers, not just my parents, my teachers too, you know, everybody just went, nah, she did it. That's all her. And, you know, it changed the whole course of my life. I love you too, Kaz. And yeah, I'm not the only one with this story. You know, we've all been judged, and I think that, yeah, that 13-year-old version of me is now going to have to learn how to trust. I was betrayed. I was scared. I was sexually abused. And I was sort of left out to dry. And I don't say that in a victim way. I just mean I can see now that when somebody in my family, who I love to pieces and was only saying what they said to me to protect somebody else that they loved that was hurt, said to me, you know, I hope you have a miserable Christmas. And things like that. Like, I was copping spite from people because I'd just let everyone down. And so I've carried that with me, you know. I've thought to myself over all of this time, I just thought something was wrong with me. I thought there was something about me that was, you know, that deserved that. And when you believe, it's called fulfilling the negative prophecy, right? Like, you believe something bad about yourself, then it plays out in your life. I had heaps of self-destructive paths. I chose people who weren't good for me. I dabbled in drugs for a little while. You know, and I've pretty much been on every self-destructive journey that you can do. And I now understand why I did all of that. I did that because I didn't trust myself, because I believed everybody saying to me, you know, you aren't to be, like, you aren't to be trusted. And who can I trust? I couldn't trust anybody. There was nobody around me that I could turn to. So again, like I said, I'm telling my story, but this is for anyone out there that this resonates with, and it looks like it is with a few people, so this is good. Now, Stace, you've just said, bury her, Jess, you can do it. That 13-year-old girl is gone. Now, I don't fully agree with that fact, because I feel like something that's really useful, I can see why you're saying that, because it's like, you know, you've recognized it now you can drop it, you can bury it and move on. And in a sense, yes, I agree. And I will, because I'm setting her free, right? I think for a little while this will take time to integrate, but inner child work, I want to talk about it just for a minute. What it is going back to, you know, that moment of trauma. I'm just acknowledging the inner child. So my 13-year-old self, who was totally let down by everyone around her, I'm there now to reparent her. I've got her back, you know. That wasn't fair, what happened. It wasn't fair, whichever way you looked at it. If anybody had have watched that from a bird's eye view and seen the reality of what happened and the detail behind it and the shit show that eventuated after it and how much spite was spat at me because I was seen as the one who destroyed so much around me. you know, that was a lot. That was a lot. And so, you know, that there's some reparenting that she needs to be heard, basically. You know, like that 13-year-old part of me has been silenced for so long, and I know I'm not the only one. There are some of you out there that have been silenced as well. You've never had your story heard, right? Those parts that you've been through that nobody else understands the depth of, that part of you needs you to hear that story. And I'm here. Anybody who wants to be heard, go into Rise and Shine, join the group Rise and Shine, and go in there, because we're going to start doing this more. I've got a friend, Carlene. Oh, Carlene, I've just called you out, babe. Whose story I've been wanting to tell for a while, because it's such an incredible transformation from somebody who's been through so much. But it didn't feel fair to put her through the ringer and get her vulnerability on show for everyone to learn from, if I don't step up and do it myself first. And I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what my shit was until about an hour ago. You know, I've had this amazing conversation with a woman who's stepped into my life recently, and she somehow managed to everything just clicked. I just needed a sounding board, and she was there to listen for long enough where it came up. She did some genome healing with me. Her name's Jen. She's amazing. I didn't know what genome healing was. Hey, Kaya. Hello, darling. And yeah, she took me back. She's like, okay, this issue that you're worried about, take it back to where it hurt the first time. We did it once, and then I collapsed all that shit, and then the second time and the third time, and then as that happened, it's like this stuff started to come up, and I'm like, oh, and then I hit it. I'm like, when I was suspended, that incident was when the entire course of my life completely changed. So yeah, if any of you have had that turning point where life went from pretty peachy, or peachy enough, you know, to just sideways, then you are not alone. And there's hope. There's hope for all of us. All it takes is some clarity to work out why you feel like shit. You know, why has your life been a bit difficult for such a long time? And this inner child stuff is so practical. It's so applicable. It's so easy to do. It feels a bit weird to start with, because, you know, you are basically talking to an invisible version of yourself. But I'm telling you now, like I'm telling you from experience, there's something very healing about it. I know it sounds silly, but if there's a part of you from the past that hasn't been heard, hasn't been understood, has been vilified, whatever it is, that part of you needs you to recognize it. It needs you to look at it and go, you know what? I just realized what you went through. You know, 13-year-old me, oh my God, chick, like you poor fucking kid. You know, you not good. Of course you were going to have a rough ride after that, you know. Look what happened. How are you supposed to hold yourself when something like that happens to you when you're a kid? I don't know what that is, Sam, but it sounds interesting, and I'm all for any kind of therapy, you know, like I will inquire. But yeah, it's because it means that version of yourself that was left behind, abandoned, neglected, and rejected is finally able to feel heard. And then, as you were saying, Stace, then I will be able to let her go. I will be able to drop that, because she's free, right? She's not trapped in her silence anymore. It's like ghosts. You know how people say when people die sometimes that you have ghosts that haunt your house because they just want to be heard. They can't cross over because they haven't had their trauma heard yet. Something bad happened to them, like they were murdered or something. And, you know, like it's the same kind of stuff. Yeah. Yep. Oh, Stacia, but you know, she's in good hands, right? Like she's in good hands. What do you mean? Where is your head at? I don't understand. Tell me more. So yeah, now that I understand all of that, I have something to work with. It's not going to be an instant healing, but I can tell you right now, for any of you out there that have been swimming around in the mud for years on end, this has been a 23-year journey for me of uncertainty, of anxiety, Every part of that experience has played out in my life in so many different ways. Jealousy, anxiety, depression, very recently, suicidal thoughts. Not good, right? Like something had to give. And thank you, Sam. I will look it up. Yep, for anyone else out there too. Yeah, this is a group thing. Like this is a collective vibe. And part of the reason why I'm here doing this now is because there's so much difficult emotional stuff coming up on a collective level. I'm going to get spiritual on you just for a second. So at the moment, because this might resonate with some of you too, at the moment, it's Pisces season. There's watery energy going on, right? There is a lot of water coming out of the sky. That's a very literal manifestation of it. I don't know about you lot, but I have been crying my eyes out. I have never cried so much in my whole life. You know, like there's some deep, ancient, traumatic stuff coming up. There is such a thing as generational trauma too. Ask our First Nations people. Pain from the past can come through in your DNA. Pain from, there are ancestral wounds. So there are patterns that repeat themselves in your families, right? There are patterns of, I can see now with my family, so much has become clear tonight. I'm like, okay, that shit I've got going on with my mum, I can see where that comes from now. And I instantly have compassion towards it, where for a long time I'm like, why the fuck am I always angry with my mum? You know, she's not that bad. She's beautiful. She's a wonderful person. But she's got her own stuff too, you know, and I'm being really honest about this because I know I'm not alone. You know, we've all got stuff. We've all got stuff with our families. It's where it all comes from. And yeah, I can see where a lot of it has stemmed from now. So the ancestral stuff, the generational stuff, some of you are here to be the circuit breakers, the you know, to cancel, clear, delete these lines of repetition. It's a tough gig, right? It's a tough gig, but it's a worthy one. And if you can do it, big changes, you know, you've shifted something enormous. And for me, I know that there was a seeking on my journey because I knew something wasn't right. And it played out with friends, you know, sister wounds. So much makes sense now of why I haven't felt trustworthy and why I haven't felt trusting. And I think that's all going to fall away now because there's something that I've shone a light on that makes sense. But yeah, if you're feeling that any of this resonates, then you're not alone. Like I said, this collective energy, Pisces season, watery, lots of crying, lots of relationship turmoil, you know, lots of people are breaking up, lots of up and downs. You're either going to see it now, you're either going to unearth and uncover what's going on with all this stuff and that it's epigenetics. Okay, yeah. Yes, Shekinah. I don't know much about that, but is that what I'm talking about? Send me a link so I can research it more. There's so many friends. The sister wound, you know, I've just written a blog about it. It's huge. You know, we thanks. Oh, thank you, John, my cousin. The collective wound around women is so enormous. And I'll just get back to the current energy. So Pisces season, lots of emotional trauma, lots of stuff is coming up to be purged, right? Martine, if you end up catching any of this or any of the guys in the chakra course, this stone was selected to represent the base chakra. Now, the base chakra, you can call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter. They're just words, right? Don't get caught up by the words. But this place energetically at the bottom half of us that's connected to the earth is where the following things are kept: home, family, money stuff, security, stability, and safety. My biggest wound is around safety. I had safety in the first half of my life. Most people I know, theirs is the opposite. They started without safety, and so they've had to get through things differently. But yeah, that's all base stuff. And if you consider what we've been through as a collective, as in our population of humanity in the last 2 years, name one person who hasn't had their stability shaken. People who were sure-footed, right, metaphorically, who were metaphorically sure-footed in their life are now on shaky ground. Nobody knows where they're safe. Financial crisis, the floods, COVID, like there is the war there. Oh, well, don't believe everything you see on the news, but whatever the fuck's going on over there, fear-based stuff, fear. I've been in so much fear, like petrified of everything, and it's been getting worse and worse and worse. I feel released from that a little bit tonight. So, you know, I'm hoping this comes through, and I hope everybody's going to go through a similar shift. But yeah, if you're really emotional lately and you don't know which way's up, if your head is doing head miles a lot more than usual, if you're not usually struggling with that so much, feel good about the fact that you are right on par with the energies that are at play in our world at the moment. It doesn't matter what religion, whether you're spiritual, whether you're atheist, we are connected. It's back to the quantum. I'm not going to go into it much, but you want to look at it from a scientific perspective. Go and look up noetic science and understand how the quantum field works how we're all connected. So we're all experiencing things of a similar nature, and they just play out differently in each individual life. So I feel like that's pretty much all I need to say to feel heard, and to feel like it feels like enough information for everybody who's watching to get something out of this. I hope if this helps you, please let me know. Let me know if this was of benefit to you, and if you feel like you want to be heard too. I'm not going to say go and do your own live, because I'm fine. Like I'm a performer, so I don't have any issue putting myself out there. I don't like public speaking. I love it. Woohoo! Put me in front of an audience. Yes, but at the same time, this was different because this was very personal, raw, and real, and I wasn't sure if it was a good idea and if I was oversharing, but I don't think so. It feels right. But yeah, if it helped, awesome. But if you feel like as a result of this, something inside you is saying, something inside me doesn't feel heard, then, please send me a message, because I will hear you. Come to Rise and Shine. We're going to start this Rise and Shine group grew organically and is a place for mental health support. And at the moment, the world is sideways and we all need emotional and mental support. So, I'm not perfect. I might be in the field of spirituality and I can help other people. It is not a problem. And I have felt like a bit of a hoax lately. I felt like a bit of a fake, because I'm like, I can see other people's stuff clearly. I can help them. I get messages through the cards and all that sort of stuff. And then an hour later, I'll be out there having some existential crisis about jealousy. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, why is this playing out like this? It doesn't make any sense. This morning, it felt like this mountain that I've been banging my head up against for so long, and I'm running out of fight. That's how I've been describing it. I've got a lot of fight in me. Anybody who knows me and knows what I've been through knows I've got fight. But this one is the first one, and I've been through quite a lot. Lots of domestic violence, lots of shit. This one has got me. This was the trauma. This was the wound that I couldn't understand. This morning, I have been feeling suicidal. And I'm going to have a stab and say that I reckon there's others out there that have too, because of what's happening in the world. Like, it's a lot of stuff. but yeah, this morning this felt like this immovable mountain, and I'm like, I'm running out of puff. I don't know how much further higher I can climb because I can't see my way out of this. I'm really scared. I'm scared for me. I'm scared for my relationship. I'm scared just in general about everything because nothing's making any sense. But I've spotted it. And you know what helped? And this is advice for anyone out there who feels lost. Part of my lesson in this that I now understand is learning to shift the way I do things in this sense. When something bad happens in my life that I can't handle, that makes me depressed or anxious, I used to go to ground. So I will disappear. Literally, I will just completely disappear from life. I will switch off, tune out. I'm unavailable because that's how I healed. Like I would sit in it, and I'm very, very good at, I can sit with my stuff. I can see that it's painful. I can release the emotions. And then I come good and I go about my business and I'm fine. But that's kind of unrealistic. And I now understand that I've always had trouble really truly reaching out for help. So I guess part of this lesson was for me to be pushed personally to a point where I had no option but to reach out for help. I've been seeing a psychologist. I've got a homeopath. I've reached out to a genome healer tonight. I reached out to Ali does all sorts of stuff. She's a friend who is a healer on all levels. She works with shadow aspects. She works with twin flames. She works with all sorts of entities and weird and wonderful stuff, and is, you know, a healer as well. And, you know, I spoke to her this morning, and I've just been reaching out for anything. I'm just like, it feels like I've been scratching around in the dark, just going, I know there's something here. I just don't know how. I didn't have the tools. And so, yeah, part of the journey has been to reach out. And when I finally did, and I spoke to Jen tonight for an hour and a half, just by doing that, just by not giving up in the reaching out thing, I was able to be held in space. Like she held space for me, you know, she just let me talk until I figured it out. This is going to change the course of my life now because it's such a big thing to shift. So reach out. It is so hard to reach out for some of us, but start with me. And I've got access to a pretty wide range of different types of people that do different stuff. I know trauma healers, etc. So if you've got something and you just feel completely stuck and lost with it, start here. And if I can't help you, I at least do know where to, you know, put the feelers out too. So yeah, you're not alone. That's the main message here. You're not alone. Reach out. Because some of this big stuff you've been trapped with for a long time, some of your addiction stuff, trauma-related stuff that's playing out in different ways in your life, parts of yourself that you don't feel aligned with, where you're being angry or nasty, you know, then it's fine. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And yeah, like, yeah, it's nothing to be ashamed of. You're held. You're not alone. I've just got a friend here, Connor. Can I join and say something to our friends here, including you? Of course you can. Sure. I love you, Alana. Thank you. I'll go back and read all of your comments. I haven't caught all of them, but thank you for, yeah, it's reaching people. That's so good. I hope if you're watching it on the replay, let me know. I want to know who this reaches, and I want to know what you know, what you're feeling after this. Has this brought anything up for you? I know this is stuff like this stuff that I'm talking about. This is the stuff that we do not want to look at, but it's so important, and you're not alone. Okay, Connor wants to say something, so I'm going to bring him on. Connor and I met in Melbourne. We played in a metal band, and I went and auditioned for this metal band with my keyboard. Probably wasn't the avenue I was meaning to head up in, but that's how we met. I'm just trying to it's saying that he's adding. I've never done this before. Are you there? I think he's in Russia actually at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see what he has to say if we can. Here he is, I think. Hello, Connor.
It was nice. I didn't watch the whole thing. I saw a little bit of it.
Oh, you're on live now. You're here. You're live. Everybody can hear you. Everybody can see you.
Hey guys. Well, I'm not a public speaker, so I'm a bit. I have a bit of a heartbeat. So, but I'll tell you a little something. I thought I could just help in any way.
Can you
including
turn
you,
your
sister,
volume up a
and
little bit?
you. I'll just try to speak louder.
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's kind of quiet, but we can hear you. Yes.
So I'll try to help anyone out there, just including you, sister, because I've learned a couple of things in my journey through a little bit of meditation and all that. So all I want to say, we feel all the things that we feel is because of unsatisfactoriness, right? We are unsatisfied of certain things. But in reality, the unsatisfactoriness is everywhere. It's no, just if you keep eating a chocolate for too long, it's just gonna come to us, you know? So in our reality, we are in this delusion thinking there is satisfaction in everything we chase, but in all of it there is hidden unsatisfactoriness. Regardless of anything, if it's a relationship, our parents, our own life, like I'm gonna get old and I'm gonna be like walking really hard and I'll be having back pains and all these things. It's just gonna come to us regardless of
Like
what
it's
we
part of life. Is
imagine.
that what you're saying? It's just part of life.
It is, exactly. So the point is, sister, for us to accept the reality, the deepest reality that we try to avoid, which is there is of course going to be unsatisfactoriness, which is in ancient language they call it dukkha. um it's there, and it's okay. It's just gonna, and pretty much it. I will stop from there. I will just that touch of reality, this tiny touch of, it's just gonna make us very strong. It's just gonna come to us, man. It's no matter how successful we are, or whatever it is we hope for or we long for and we wish for. It's the reality. So
Thank you, Connor.
just
And so are you
just
saying that
we have to be,
basically, this, if we can learn to accept this unsatisfactoriness, that life will be easier?
it is, and it's, we have to learn to accept the reality, not just unsatisfactory. There's other factors in the reality that we don't see. For example, impermanence is a part of reality we live in. Everything we collect, like ours. I had a beautiful piano back in Melbourne, and it's gone. Everything that we collect, it's just, my cat is old. It's just impermanent. And ourselves, our hair, I've got two gray, and it's just, we can't just hold on to things that is just hoping that is going to be our way, the way we want things to be. No,
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. You
There's
know,
a
it's
really
just
great expression that I've come across in the last couple of years that's, and I've said it to clients and family and friends, that we have to learn, instead of wanting, instead of getting what we want, we have to learn to want what we get.
exactly. Oh,
Go with the flow. But
yeah.
it's so hard. And I guess Westerners, we struggle with it more, right? Because, yeah,
I know, sister. I lived in Bodh Gaya in India for 3 months, and I was living with monks for like extreme, like tough conditions, and it just opened my eyes so much for what we think is happy and whatever it is. It's just
where are you now? Are you in Russia or are you back in Sri Lanka?
I am in Russia.
You're in Russia.
Yeah, yeah.
Please,
There's just like
please tell us what is going on over
one.
there. What's the truth? Tell us the truth. Because we're getting the news, and I think
Oh
the
man,
news is not telling us everything.
yeah. There's a lot of that. Um, yeah. That's everything is just black and white, covered with whatever they wants us to see, and majority if of the world media is controlled, and a lot of things that we see are what somebody wants us to see,
Can
and
you please tell me,
what
what do
you
you
know.
like? What do you see? What do you think is happening over there at the moment?
I There are so many points of views, but I still think war is because my missus is Russian, and she's crying for her family in Ukraine. If they're all families, there was no border, there was nothing in between. It was just like, oh, her girlfriends, aunties are all in Kiev. They're all just same people.
Yeah,
But the wars are created in certain regions to manipulate world power,
keep us
and
in
all
fear.
this.
Like
Oh, there's just
all of a
oh
sudden,
yeah.
COVID has disappeared, and now we have a war.
Oh
And
man.
anyone who doesn't think
Oh,
that's a little bit too well timed, there's definitely somebody pulling the puppet strings, right? Like most of us know that by now.
everywhere,
Some people don't think that. They think
everywhere,
this is all
sister.
naturally happening.
Yeah, it's everywhere. But what we can do, because our lives are so short, and what we can do is we should cultivate with our little time. We should cultivate a lot of good things, because whatever we believe in, wherever we go, up there or whatever it is, if we use our little time, eh, with such value, and we cultivate something just pure gold or more than that, um for example, I'm right now, I'm just planning another project to do a deep water well for a village in Sri Lanka. Some little things, a whole village will drink some water, you know it's just it feels so good.
Yeah, that's the
And
good
that's what
stuff,
we
isn't
gotta
it? That's
do,
where the
man.
gold is in life,
Yeah,
is helping other people.
exactly. That's what we gotta do, man. And we keep doing that, and our time here is spent very well. It's worth every second. And again, going a bit further, thinking about our time we spend, and we are used to live either in the past or the future all the time.
Yeah.
We are like, we practiced our minds to go to, let's take past for example. It could be longer past, or it could be immediate past. So when we hang up, you could be thinking about what Connor just said like a minute ago. So that's still the past, and we think about future and the past a lot. And this is what been practicing our mind for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
But in reality, sister, the this is a this is not help. Like, it's okay to plan things, but we also have to take a moment and, just not do that same practice we've been doing, and just be here, dwell in our physical body, and just dwell here and understand this. All of this is just very temporary, and just be in that moment for a moment, and you will start see that your present is just arising, and you're going to witness your present is just, it's disbanding at the same time. It's just gonna it is just passing, and you just have to, I'm not gonna go too far into that, but yeah, I'll just it's a way to, it's a practice. So,
Yes.
and
Thank you
we're gonna
for
start feel very,
Thank you for
oh,
bringing that
very
up. It's a
happy.
really good point. Before you go, I just wanted to say to
Yeah.
everybody who's listening that yes, like Eckhart Tolle, he's one of my favorite spiritual teachers. He teaches about being in the present, the power of now. And I have learned that, I have absorbed that, but lately I've been in the past and in the future. So anxiety comes from the future.
Yeah.
What if this? What if that? What if? And depression comes from the past because you're stuck with the pain of the past. And,
Yeah.
we're all human
Yeah.
beings, and we all come in and out of our spiritual understandings, and we need the lessons. So sometimes you have to go back and you have to repeat the same lesson because you haven't got it yet, and it takes time. But to go, that's such sage advice for you to say that, taking a moment
I'm so
to
honored.
be in the present, that's the only time we
Yeah.
have. That is the only reality
Yeah.
that exists, is the now.
Exactly.
And it's easy to
Yeah.
conceptualize, but it's very difficult to practice.
Why? I'll tell you why. Because we've also practiced something to grab, you know, we've been practicing this since our childhood, like to call our toys mine. This is mine. It has to be my way. This is, we've been practicing, and whatever we practice for a long time, it's just gonna haunt us, you know and so we have to, what do you call, to the when the river is flowing downwards, we got to go upwards. It's sort of a metaphor I learned back in. So yeah, we're just going to go up the flow, and that's the hard thing. And not a lot of people um, are ready to accept reality. They will just be in this delusion, have a glass of wine, forget things, take it easy. But we have a purpose as human beings to be better, to learn and grow, and to, you know, yeah. So I think we can all find and to be centered, and be better, and do some great things, and
And meditate.
yeah, man.
Meditate more.
Yeah, yeah. I would even share tiny little things, since you meditation. I'll tell you, meditation. Before even meditation, there is something that you have to know. Since I mentioned the present moment, to come to the present moment, there are things that come into our mind. Always, it's always busy, right? I'll tell you 5 things in the realm of meditation. What's going to happen to us? What's going to come to us? First thing, the things that we like. All right, it's just going to come to our mind. The second thing, so I would say things that we like and attract to, right? It's sort of same. We attract to, and it's going to come. That's the number one. Number two is the things that we dislike and we clash with. right? Let's say some friend
Yep.
said something, and or it could come to us. The third thing is laziness and sleepiness can come to us anytime. Oh, I'm just gonna lay down, kind of thing. Yeah. And the fourth one is what I said about the present, the anxieties of the future and the worries of the past. So I would just make it as one thing, like worries.
Yep.
This is going to come to us.
I'm really good at
So this
that.
is the
I'm really good at
hardest
worry.
one.
I'm a professional worrier.
Yeah, so that's where that present came,
Yeah.
As soon as the when you go into worries of the past or the anxieties of the future, you just got to identify it. All of these can come to you, but you have to identify them coming. That's arriving. Oh, hello, I know you. You're the thing that I like. Okay, just we'll catch up later. I'm just gonna take a moment right now just for myself, and that's the way to deal with it. And the last thing, when you're going to sit without these four, there's this thought going to come to you, what the F am I doing right now? Like a doubt, you know? That is another fifth one. And these are the five major sort of defilements
Fulfillment. Yep.
that's gonna come to us. Yeah, defilements. So you have to, before any sort of meditation, you have to just and learn these five things and
So are
watch
you
them.
saying when you sit down to meditate, so when you start to meditate, you have to give it enough time for all of the noisy
No,
things
no,
in your
no,
mind to go past?
no, they will come to you because these five things that I just told you will come to you,
Yeah, that
regardless of if you just sat down or if you sat down for 2 minutes.
no, I
It's just
understand,
gonna
but are
come.
you
One of these
saying you're
things will.
saying just let them come and just wait until they move?
Well, the thing is, sister. Well, the thing is, sister, we've been practicing worries for a long time, so they're gonna come.
Yeah,
It's not like let them come. If we let or not, don't let, they will come.
they will be
But
there.
all we
Yep.
have to, yeah, all we have to do is when they're coming, we just have to identify.
Yeah.
Just identify. That's that one. That's that one. And as soon as we identify, we already detach from that. We are separated from it, and we are dwelling in this body again in this present moment. And all we have is the breath, and and just take a moment. It can be 2 seconds. I sometimes just like 1 minute, and sometimes like one more than 1 minute is harder because this things to
So
do,
it's some of it's
or
more
something.
about practicing being the watcher of your thoughts.
Exactly. This is called in ancient language, it is called the chittanupassana. It's called like watching your mind, that is heart or mind, like, you know what I mean, like
Yep.
watching that. Yeah. So um you have, and when you practice this a lot, you will you'll be so much better. These are ancient tools, man, like not little
Yeah.
tools that we can, like they can be used to fight like greater battles like greed, root greed. Like these are greater battles than what we have as just general in our general lives. These are greater tools to fight greater battles like root greed, root uh, anger, which just takes over and we don't even know it's there.
It's quick. Anger's a
These
quick
are like
emotion, isn't it?
fear. You can't even see it's coming.
Yeah.
Like for example, lust, can we can see the thoughts arising, some sensuality. You can see them coming like a miles away. I can, all right, I
Yeah,
see
yeah.
that
I know
coming.
what that is.
I can, yeah. But anger just it's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these are the tools that some ancient tools to fight greater battles like greed, uh, greed is like way deeper. When you meditate deeper and deeper, you will start to see how the root, the core of your greed, like you are even greedy to the next breath. You send one out and you already start taking the other one in. Oh man, I get goosebumps. Like it's crazy, and that's why we are clinging so much to everything.
Yeah.
The root cause of our human, like all of the beings, all the beings are like suffering from this. It's the greed, and these are tools to fight them. So our little problems, day-to-day problems, they are not going to be real problems anymore, because you're going to have some ancient tools, that's 2,500 years old tools, which is taught by ancient yogi Buddha. So he is one of the best yogis. Yeah, I've been to the place and I learned some of it, some of the meditation with the monk. So yeah, and it will make us better people, no matter who we are. If we are a Muslim, it will make us better people. Doesn't matter, you know.
There's no
Um,
division. There's the division from religion is a complete illusion.
just give me 1 second. Someone's calling me. You can continue, sister. I'll just.
That's okay. Oh, so there we have it. Wasn't expecting that, but that was a very welcome interlude from Connor there. You know, he's in Russia, of all places, for someone to just pop on. We have we have ears on the ground in Russia, so that's exciting. And you know, we can ask him if you have questions about what's happening over there, then send me a message and maybe we can get him back on and ask some more about what's going on there. But yeah, I think I'll probably leave it there. Connor, we can bring you back online anytime. Thank you for your wise words about being in the present moment and how, you know, life's going to throw stuff at us, but all it's really about is this moment. And, you know, that we're souls having a human experience in a body. We're not humans having a soul experience. But yeah, I hope the video has helped you along the way. And I hope it leads to some other cool interviews, because that's the first one. I've been wanting to do something like that for a long time, and that happened organically, and that's always where it feels right. So yeah, thank you, Connor, and thank you to everybody who has been watching. I'm very interested to hear what you all have to say, and how it's how if this has helped. So to finish, I haven't done this before because grounding has never been my strong point, but I've been doing a lot of it lately. So for any of you who have thoughts that do this, you know, anyone who has a racing mind, there's a lot of us at the moment that are going through it with what's going on. So easiest way to ground for me, there's plenty of techniques for it, but I love this one. It's easy and it's quick. Have your feet on the ground barefoot. Outside is best, like in the actual earth is best, but it's fine if you're just on the ground. If you have any protection stones or grounding stones, they're good too. This is a golden obsidian, but you don't need any of them. And what you do is you close your eyes and you breathe in. I'm not feeling very grounded, so I'm just going to do a few breaths together. So we'll do 3. In for 3, hold for 4, out for 5. Ready? So that's how to put your parasympathetic nervous system back into balance. If you get some head tingles, that's a good sign. It means you've been taking in too much oxygen, but you're rebalancing it. And you put your feet on the ground and you picture yourself as a tree with roots going all the way down to the center of the earth. Picture your favorite gemstone or whatever color springs to mind. So it could be ruby, amethyst, it could be a green rock, it could be anything. And that's your anchor stone. So wrap the roots of your tree around that stone in the center of the earth to keep you grounded here in the third dimensional realm on earth. Wrap your feet around it and ground. So that when you're grounded, you're not in your head so much. And I'm glad I've remembered this because it's Pisces season and there's all of this crazy energy going around and we're in our heads. Most of us are in our heads more than ever, especially at the moment. So to offset that, because it's Pisces season, you need to move your body. The easiest way to come out of your head and into your heart, there's two things. To come out of your head, you come down into your body, and to come into your body, you have to move your body. So listening to songs, and especially at the moment, I'm getting heaps of messages to listen to old stuff you used to love. So for me, it's like Roxette and like I don't even know where to start. All sorts of stuff, Incubus, whatever, 90s, anything from the 90s. But yeah, if you can listen to music, it's going to make you feel good. It's always high vibrational to listen to tunes. So do that and get into your body. Just move around. It doesn't have to be anything special. Just move, and that'll help you get down in here. Another way to connect with your heart center is if your own name is something that you trust, right? It's you, so it's about as authentic as it can feel to you. So if I put my hand over my chest, over my heart, and I say Jessie to myself, I can feel where that lands. Like if I say Jessie, it's right there, like it's there in the heart center, the heart space. So that's another way to feel what it is to actually get out of your head. Because if you're anything like me, I'm a Virgo, I'm an overanalyzer, I've got a very logical, over-analytical brain, which is great sometimes and a curse and a half at other times. Always been stuck in my head. So this is really important work for anyone who's in their head and who does head miles and all that sort of stuff. You need to learn how to get down here because this is smart, but it's just a tool, right? This is something that we need for organization, for learning information, that kind of thing, but we don't need it for much else. So we need to learn to put this intelligence down. It's just a tool because the heart is so much more intelligent than the mind. We've been taught to stay up here and think up here, and it's about coming down here and thinking from here, because when you can learn to think from your heart, that's where the deepest truth lies. Your heart is a portal, that's where you can bring information in from, anywhere. So yeah, your gut has a brain too, but yeah, this is the one that we've forgotten a little bit, and it's we're all being called to get in there, which is why there's so much emotional stuff coming up to be purged at the moment, because you can't get too close to your heart center if you are still riddled with trauma and riddled with all that sort of stuff. So this is why we're all coming out now. There's Tegan, look at Teague's video the other day, one of my best friends. She told it like it was. She cried her eyes out on camera in front of everybody because there were injustices that needed to be exposed. So that's what's going on everywhere. That vulnerability is power, and sharing your story and sharing your truth is what's going to set everybody else free as well as yourself. So it's super powerful stuff. Anyway, I've definitely been on here for long enough. So thank you so much to everyone who's listened, and I hope that this has helped. Let me know. Yeah, this has been a bit of a ride, and I'm grateful for all of you that have been here on the journey. Good night. Enjoy your weekend. See ya.